Hello, you're very welcome to our podcast, Unmuzzled Conversations with me, Christine, my brother Stewart.
Hello.
And our friend Tommy.
Hiya.
So every week we are sharing our nostalgic and sometimes humorous views about Glasgow and Glaswegians from the 1940s up to the present day, talking about topics of those particular days, as well as our own memories of being brought up and still living in Glasgow. So put the kettle on or pour yourself a drink and spend the next hour with us. We're now in Series 2, and this, believe it or not, is the Christmas special. So here we are, all dressed up for you, and we're going to talk about our Christmas memories. And thank you, Cam, for this lovely fire that he's given us. Isn't that lovely? See, Tommy's a musician, so he can do that. We wouldn't attempt that. Tommy's got the talent. Leave that up to him. So today is the Christmas episode, and we're going to be talking about our Christmas memories and a kind of a comparison, if you like, to Christmas when we were young compared to how it is today. So I think I would start, if you don't mind, just by talking about how a big role the women physically played when I was young. So I'm talking about maybe the 60s, late 60s, when my mum would be saying to me, right, you get your jacket on, you're coming into the town with me, we're going Christmas shopping. You need to remember this is pre-internet times, so this is actually going into the shops and really looking in the shops and touching things and looking things and pricing things and buying things. So anything that had to be purchased had to be physically purchased. You had to go on the bus with all the other women that were tons of bags, and it was raining and it was cold, and that went on for many weeks. So there was a lot of physical effort going into Christmas, particularly on behalf of the women. It could be really hard going, and the weather, as I say, would be really hard at the time, and you'd be shattered, when you got home. But as I was saying to the guys earlier, we would be standing at our bus stop waiting on our bus. Maybe the buses would fly past because it would be full, because there was hundreds of women like that going about. And a taxi would maybe go past. And not only, we never consciously said we're not getting a taxi, it just would never come into our mind. I don't know who was using taxis in those days. Was it just people that were better off? Because it didn't even come into our minds.
I think so, Christine, because
or maybe we just couldn't afford it and we just wouldn't even be on the menu.
I don't know of any of our friends, our parents' friends, who use taxis. Mm-hmm. I really don't. And I never used them as a teenager, ever, didn't use taxis. I mean, if buses didn't turn up, you just stood and waited for the next one. Mm-hmm. You never... And we never used the train either. There was no train. There was
no trains near us. Maybe if you lived in an area where there was trains. So we would never. So you just stand there in the rain, and you couldn't hold your umbrella up because you had that much bags with you. So I think the women played a much bigger role then, and as I say, a much more physical role. It wasn't like today, where people, not just women, are choosing presents like this. They're just choosing presents on their phone, and they're pressing a button to order. Next thing, this all arrives at your house. So it's kind of, by comparison, there's no physical effort almost involved at all. And I think I hear from younger women that's how 95% of their shopping is done. I'm not judging it in any way. I'm simply comparing, that they're very different ways of shopping. So let's talk as well about part of our Christmas would be one of the bigger things, particularly when we were younger, would be going to Lewis's to see Santa. Did you go? I know Stuart and I went. Did you go as well, Tommy?
Yes. Yeah. It was that was the trip of the year.
It was a big part of Christmas, wasn't it?
It was a pilgrimage. Literally, at that time of year. Exactly. I tell you, I was pissed off with the camel.
But see, when you think, how many hours do you think we spent on those stairs?
I would say a minimum 3.
Wow.
Because if you think about it, it was only the one Santa, right? It wasn't a team of Santas. There was the one Santa and hundreds of kids. So if you were even only with Santa for a minute or even 30 seconds, it takes a long time to go through hundreds of kids.
I mean, do you think that happens now? Do kids go and see Santa? I know I took my son, but that's, 30 years ago.
Well, I tell you where we had in our wee local hall.
Young grandchildren's joy.
Well, no, they don't see Santa.
Don't go that
they
now.
don't. But what we do is, and I know that round about us, and probably all small communities, they have a Christmas fair, and they usually have a volunteer Santa there.
Which is you, I think, Stuart, is it?
That's supposed to be a secret, Christine.
Oh, sorry. Just between us. Just between me and Stuart.
Yes, it usually is me. and you know, and it's just like it's just a traditional Santa's grotto. We've got all these presents for them. We've got the boys and the girls and maybe the ages kind of thing, and that's what they do. And the kids love it. They absolutely love it.
So it's different. They don't do what we did, standing in the stairs and
oh
going
no, well, there's not enough
physically.
people to stand in it. They just walk in and goes. You know, maybe there's 2 or 3 kids in a queue.
I mean, like the whole, because one thing I forgot to say is the grotto. So it was like not just seeing Santa, there was a grotto for you to go and see.
Fabulous display all the way there.
That's right.
All the way in there, right through, so to try and keep you
entertained and keep the mothers buying all this stuff.
Because it was
just a sales thing.
It was a long time for children.
You
know, it was an interminable time for children. They kept, with the fact that you were just excited, so excited because he's there. You were getting closer to Santa.
Step, you go up a step.
I soon see Santa.
Yeah.
And before you know it,
that's right. They get
so tell us about the parakeets, because I don't remember that at all.
Well, there was basically photographers, Christine, and they were just obviously selling their services. I remember these fucking parakeets, and I've never been.
Did they come on you? Did they on your arm?
And they would fucking bite your ears.
Really? Were they quite big?
No, they're just wee things. Just I don't know.
Bigger than a
budgie?
budgie?
That size. Not as big as a parrot, but that size, But they probably hated kids. They probably rather be back in their cage somewhere. A lot of wee kids maybe poking them, and touching them and things.
So it was a photo opportunity.
Yes,
that's
exactly
what it
was.
I've still got 2. I've still got 2 from Lewis's.
Have you?
Oh my
yeah.
God.
No parakeets. No, the parakeets with Santa.
With Santa?
Right, with Santa.
My God.
Right, and I mean, there's an old joke about the fact that we are so poor you get dressed up as we get everything out the Army and Navy stores, and I was dressed as a Japanese admiral, and I was only about 4 or 5. Right, the first one I was there, I was about 4 or 5, and I actually had it looked like a captain. It had rings in my, an officers. I don't know where my mother got this from. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I've still got this uniform, and I was Santa. And the second time I'm there, I would say I was quite a bit older. I look probably about 8 or 9 years of age, and I've got the skull, the Cubs skull cap on.
Oh, right.
And my wee jersey and that, that was still there.
So you obviously get demobbed
I was still
for the Japanese army.
That's right. By that time, I'd progressed
into this Cubs.
I was actually the Minister of Defence for Japan by that time, so you get real close.
You should have checked this photograph of Santa. It might have been Gary Glitter or Jimmy Savile.
Oh my God!
And he's earlier jobs.
So I was trying to think what happened. So you got to Santa and you sat on his knee. Now, I mean, nowadays that just would be absolutely a no-no. But in those days, it was a much more naive way of living. And I mean, I don't know if anything ever happened that.
Well, there was tons of people, though.
It was a short space of time,
I think a lot
it?
of people. There'd maybe be 12 people in the area where Santa was, all waiting to go on. So,
and there was a lot of elves and things like
there
that.
Was all these other dodgy-looking people about. So I don't think I'm saying no. I very much hope that nothing ever happened, because there was very little opportunity for it to happen.
No.
I think as well that Santa was built up as such a mystical, magical thing that most people were terrified. And although they were desperately waiting to see him, when they got there, they just couldn't say anything, and they'd say what you want for your Christmas or whatever. And I think most kids would just
dumbstruck.
They're just completely. It was like, I don't know. I can't imagine what you would compare it to now, but it was.
Christine, I just thought of some. Tommy and I, this was just before Christmas, and Tommy and I, when Rangers were playing at home, we used to go to the Turkish baths about midday, remember?
Calder Street.
And then we'd go up there for about an hour or so, and then we'd go over to Ibrox. And I was getting the bus, you know, to meet, I was getting the bus to Calder Street, and I meet Tommy there. And I remember, and right in the town, it was a Saturday, it's a Saturday, we're near Christmas, so the place is jam-packed. And I'm just sitting on the bus, downstairs in the bus, and there was actually wee closes right next to where Boots the chemist was. You forget they were even there, but it was like a close now and again there. And I'm sitting in the bus, and I'm right opposite this close, and I'm looking in, and there's this wee down and out person dressed up as Santa, right, with a hat on, and he had pulled his beard down, and he had this big manky stubble, and he had a half bottle of wine, and he was glugging the wine. I went, oh Jesus, I hope the kids see this. He's like, oh no.
That's
emotionally
bad Santa, isn't it? What's his name?
He's
Billy Bob Thornton. That's
exactly,
right. That's bad Santa.
I thought, Jesus, I hope none of the kids see this.
Thank you, Glasgow, for bringing it all back into a sense of reality. So after that, then you got a present from Santa.
Yes.
And then what was that? It, Cheerio?
More or less.
And you sort of milled about or looking at all the toys, because as you say, there was huge big displays.
Well, trying to get you to buy stuff.
And also just wanted you out the door, because another 300 wains waiting to get in after
lots
you.
of people who are just...
But it was such a big event.
And
it was the biggest event, you're right, Tommy, for a child anyway. And I can't think of any child that I would know that didn't go to Lewis's.
And when you went into the toy department, it was beautiful at the best of times, but at Christmas they went over the top. It just looked like you were in the Wonderland. You wanted everything you could see. And you remember you would see these giant train sets, and you used to think, well, I want a train. And you think when you got a train set, it would be like this, wasn't it? Just a wee round. And after about 10 minutes, it goes, that's
you
it.
could wind it. It was a wind-up train where they used to have these big Hornby electric ones, layouts that people...
And did you operate them from a sort of a thing? Or were they all wind-ups as well?
No. It was, as I say, I never ever had one.
Was it a control pad or something?
A wee control pad, you could, and just basically it was on or off. That was all.
I think I had reverse maybe.
But it was just a case of, well, it tended to be, it was in a display unit, so because you weren't allowed to actually touch it. There was a staff. The staff would actually control it.
It'd be bigger than this table.
Huge, big layout. And it'd be amazing. There's, Rod Stewart is supposed to get this. He's supposed to be a
trade enthusiast,
aficionado. Whatever it is, he's got this huge big layout, and he makes stations and things like that.
I've seen a documentary about it, and I thought, what? But it is. It's like a whole room he has that's completely taken up with this railway thing, and it doesn't do anything literally than just go round and round, except on a bigger scale. But of course, it's got houses and people and bridges and things, But in the end, all it does is
just goes round.
There was another one in the central station, because they had this huge big Christmas tree every year, and true. They also had, and you put money in, and it operated the train, so you could put in just like sixpence even, or a couple of pennies, and then the train went round the Christmas tree.
Oh, I see.
Right. That's so. And for charity, it was very charitable thing that they did there, and that was what they did. But it was just round and round the Christmas tree. It was this quite a big train set.
Easily amused.
Oh, we were stunned by it.
Exactly.
Stunned.
I wrote down here that being taken to see the lights at Christmas was quite a big thing too when we were very young. But it was literally the lights. I mean, now when you go there, there's an ice rink. There's all sorts of, I don't know, like what do you call those things from the shows? There's swings and all that kind of thing. Helter Skelter, exactly. And there's all that now. But There was nothing like that then that I can remember.
I think when we were young, it had just started, Christine.
Oh, dear.
I think there was probably street lights,
then?
aye. But then they started to, do up George Square really nice.
Yeah.
And then it became, I think it's probably become bigger and bigger every year since. But when we were young, it was basically just starting.
So it was just,
and it became it was a big thing.
Yeah,
it was a big thing to see.
It didn't go into the streets then. It was only just in George Square.
I
that
think,
was
as I recall,
and I think, as you say, as time went on, they put more like in the streets and Argyle Street and places like that, and Princess Square and all that. As time went on, so you just kind of look back and think, God, how easily pleased we were, and how little it took to really excite us and impress us, and that Christmas was not something. Also, it wasn't something there was a lot of money spent on either. All it would be would just be the fuel and to get the car in or the bus to go in.
I was just thinking that there was also talking about their Santa was in Lewis's, and you just think it must have been terrible difficult for your parents because, for example, other stores had Santas,
yes,
and they had big signs that say "See Santa here," like Fraser's.
Fraser's,
Fraser's was too upmarket for my family. We never,
for most people, it was, Tommy.
I never set foot in it. Right, as a kid, didn't know that. Now we'd go, but wouldn't go then. But the big sign that says, "No, see Santa here," and you'd say,
is that another
why is Santa there? And you just believed them. What's Santa doing there? And they say, no. He's Santa. He's like Superman. He's so quick. He can go back. They tell you anything. You would believe anything at that time. And then they would say, and later on you started to get a wee bit wide and you'd say, no, I don't really think so. And they would say, well, Lucy, that's the real Santa there, and that's their other Santas. They're not the real Santa, right?
See, so don't go there. That the people spun over the Santa thing.
That's right. Your parents had to keep the thing alive, the whole spirit of it alive. They were telling you all sorts of lies just to keep you in the whole spirit of Christmas and believe in all the things that
I wonder though. I don't know how you felt when you found out that actually wasn't a Santa. Oh, I hope that's not news for anybody.
I hope not. That's a TikTok from the
Wayne's watching, so people say that there wasn't a Santa.
I'm devastated. What's it? Could you run that by me again?
I've been playing Santa for years. I'm not real. I'm not real. I've got a public to think about here.
And you have been playing Santa for many years. So how did you feel when you realised that really that there wasn't a Santa? Can you remember? Were you devastated or?
No, I don't think. I was probably disappointed, but I don't think it marked me for life because I don't remember. Do you, Tommy?
Same. I just don't know why. We just seem to, drift into this thing where we knew. Obviously, kids must eventually told you,
like older kids,
and you went home, and your parents said, "No, they're talking rubbish. That's it, right?" But then eventually you didn't believe it.
17 or 18, Charlie. Then it kind of drops. How does he get up that chimney? That was all the other stories. How does he get up chimneys?
But we've not got a chimney. That's it. Oh, but he's got a special key. He's got a key for the door. Who gave him it? And you think, all these tales. Well, we've had to do it ourselves for our own children and grandchildren. So
can I tell you, Frank Carson's Christmas joke absolutely said, Frank Carson says, Santa comes down the chimney and he meets, there's this woman standing there and standing there with the negligent on, standing. And she says to him, Santa, can you stay? And he says, no. He says, I can't pass. I've got lots of kids' toys to deliver all over the world. He said, so I can't stay here. And she said, and so she drops off the negligee and she says, are you sure he can't stay? He says, I might as well. I'll never get back up that chimney.
Well, there you go. There's Santa being very sensible, as always, looking at the reality of every situation that he was given. I love the word negligee. That's a real 60s word as well, isn't it?
What is it?
I never know whether he's serious or not sometimes.
You mean you don't have one?
No.
Oh.
Is it like lingerie?
It's like lingerie.
So as children, those were big things, and I think because there was nothing like Christmas jumpers and all that then as well. It just was a more simple, less expensive, probably.
Of course,
yeah. I was thinking about the toys that we would have been. I'm talking about the 60s now for myself, but I mean, I was assuming you guys are just a tiny bit older, not even worth talking about, really.
But you just did.
So in that kind of like late 60s, 70s time, what toys would you think you would have been getting? Or do you remember a toy?
A lot of boys would get football strips. When you whatever your team was, you'd get that, and then you maybe get a Scotland strip and things. I get books because I really like books. And
did you get a train set?
I had two train sets.
Did you get a train set, Tommy?
I had the wind-up one.
Clockwork train set.
Clockwork, that's the word. And then I got an electric one. But I was enormously disappointed with them because, when you see them in like Lewis's again, these you think that looks brilliant. But yours was about half the size of this table, and it was just basically a circle.
Yes.
And you go,
a wee circle, a wee plastic
and then
track.
after half an hour, you think, well, put it back in the box. But other boys, they would get additions to them. Because they were all, you could buy another set and they would all link in. That was the whole point of them. They were really well made as well.
To make them bigger. And they used to sort of crisscross as well, like a figure 8 type thing.
So you could get special rails and different
bridges and houses and people. So when you would see it would have all these additions to it. And you think that's exactly what you're getting.
That's
but
what you
don't realise is you're not getting that at all. You're only getting the basics. You're getting a circle. So you had one as well, Tommy?
Yeah, but a clockwork train set, and just to say, you just wound it up and put it in the track, and very carefully, and you had to hold the wee key, so because the minute you let it go, off it went, it's in the next minute, or the wee coal bunker behind it, and then the carriages, it was a model steam train.
They were always,
that's right.
There were always steam trains.
Remember the actual steam coming out of it. That's right. Yeah.
That wasn't the electric ones, but the clockwork one just had a tin smoke coming out of the chip. That is a wee it was a wee tube.
It
looked like smoke, but it stuck out the chimney.
Wool in them. People used to put cotton wool and twist it like a wee cone.
Right.
I remember mine had tin.
The
actual chimney stack had this white bit of tin painted white that was of smoke coming out it. And as I say, you let it go in it, and then it was. I mean, after pretty boring after 10 minutes at the most, especially when if it went too fast and it would fall off the track and things like that, and then you started to get adventurous with it, and instead of laying a circular or an oval track, you just put a straight track, let it go, and it just went flying off at the end, which is a lot more fun eventually. You start the devilment of the whole thing, and then you could get things like put wee things at the end, like your soldiers and things like at the end, and the train would run them over, things like that in the track. People
being killed by their own train.
Absolutely.
I seem to remember as well that Meccano was quite a popular thing.
That was good.
And also, do you remember those things where you got a box and on the picture on the front of the box would be maybe like a plane or something? I don't know, what was that called?
Was it models? On a Meccano?
Airfix. The Airfix.
And you actually had these fairly small pieces.
Were great.
And you had to look at the map of where everything went, and you got glue with it. As well.
Yeah,
that was called Airfix, was it?
Airfix was a company. That's a company that made them. They're still going.
And was it all planes? I seem to think it was planes. Was
no.
it other things as well?
Later, it was mostly planes I can remember at the beginning, but they did boats.
And
they did
cars.
Tanks. They had
Boats,
military
tanks.
And
stuff.
did you two have that airfix?
I did.
I definitely had planes.
Me too.
And I remember I also had a very, it was a very old, an old sort of an old car. Like from the 20s, an old
Studebaker or something like that.
Something like that.
Aye.
Open thing. I remember one of those. But I remember the Spitfire, and I had the Spitfire and the Hurricane.
Because it must have taken
the
you
Lancaster
a fair amount.
bomber.
Aye. Must have taken you a fair amount of time to make them, because I seem to remember the pieces were quite small, were they
And
not?
you had to, and one of the greatest
is that right?
temptation was to not read the instructions properly. And as I did,
hurry
I'm
up.
sure I did.
To
I
hurry up and
fucking
get it
Mr.
done.
No Patience. I was fucking putting the wings together, and then you go, oh, I should have put something inside the wings, and also you're supposed to have like a file and nail clippers, because they were all attached. They were all attached to like a wee rods,
That's
and
right,
they always left a
that's
wee
right.
kind of tail on them. So
Yeah,
the
I
people who
remember
who really knew their stuff, they would clip them and then they would file them down. It took seconds, but of course I didn't. And it was all big handprints, big glue prints.
Did you get paint for them as well?
No, you had to
paint?
buy that.
Oh, you had to buy that.
To buy paint, but they gave you, the sort of the decals for it. The various the Air Force and. The wings, that you stuck on.
Transfers.
The transfers.
Oh, yeah.
Transfers.
The decals were American. The transfers, and so you do RAF transfers and various things, or the swastika, that you put that on there. For the Stuka bomber.
I seem to remember as well that annuals were quite a thing as well, and I seem to remember the Bruins.
There was a Bruins and an Urwilly one, and there was a Dino.
I definitely
the
got them.
Dandy. I think remember all the kids' comics, they all had an annual.
That's right.
Brilliant. But the Bruins, for example, the Bruins and Urwilly were biannual. The Bruins come out one Christmas.
That's quite clever,
and
though, isn't
Urwilly come out the next. Now and then eventually Thompson said, right, let's make the two of them. I don't know what that would be. That would be about sort of late 60s. It started on that, but right through from, I would say, right through the 50s towards the ends of the 60s before they were published together. At Christmas,
So thinking about those times when we were young children, I seem to remember that we got one present, one kind of big, large present.
Yes.
For me, at my age, I would have been maybe 7 or something like that. It would be a doll and a pram, maybe if I was lucky. But there was very little apart from that. I don't know, maybe small things, or maybe clothes, or I can't honestly remember, but I do remember that, and I do remember the sock. Just like your dad's sock. It wasn't a fucking Christmas sock or anything, or a new sock. It had just been taken out the washing machine, and it was filled with oranges, apples,
the tangerines went
tangies,
in, and that's it. Tangerines, that's it. Which are
and they weren't hung
now
up.
satsumas.
You know what I have to throw into the mix, and it's horrifying to think of it now. And I just thought about it. Know what there was always on Christmas Day? Kids walking about with puppies. Dogs for Christmas. Aye.
Dogs for Christmas.
Aye. Do you not remember that?
No, I don't.
Do you know that, Tommy?
No, not really.
No,
I
never.
I know it was more. I think it was much more. I think parents did buy. The parents were more likely to make the decision. No, because people would say it. Kids would ask for. Certainly, ask for a puppy, but
very few would get one.
Oh no,
Chrissy.
but the families would.
Tons of them.
Okay.
Tons of these wee beautiful pups would all be running about with wee kids, and half an hour later they'd probably think, well, doesn't he do much? And then there's bikes.
The
Bikes and scooters.
Scooters.
Roller skates.
Aye, that's right.
Actual roller skates.
Yo-yos.
Nah.
You got a yo-yo in your sock.
Aye.
No, you get that sock.
And you also would get a selection box.
That's right.
You would also
Cadbury's
get that at
the one I remember,
Cadbury's. So that was it.
The smoker's outfit. Chocolate smoker's outfit.
Honestly?
I don't know what
Yes.
that
I
is.
don't remember that.
Chocolate
Oh,
smoker's
the chocolate smoker's outfit.
No.
Right. that you got a chocolate pipe, right? A chocolate cigarettes, a chocolate lighter.
Are you serious?
No.
Was it come in a box?
It came in a box.
A selection
box. A
smoker's outfit.
Wow.
Chocolates. I remember getting at least one. I remember that's I say, as well as getting. Remember, I got the post office. Remember, you got a post office.
Yeah,
with the blooming. You got a post office.
And your money.
And the money.
And how many stamps
postal
do you want?
orders,
And all that
postal orders and stamps and things like that. And you sometimes you get wee jars of sweeties, wee tiny things. They sold that as well.
Yeah.
I got a post office set. Remember having that. I
mean,
remember I'm saying about the parents having to, because you were trying to stay up. Yeah. And I remember I was desperate for a wigwam.
Right? Oh, really?
Right, I wanted
but then cowboy things were a big thing, as we've talked about before. Big thing.
Right into Indians.
Bows and arrows.
Always an Indian. The cowboys and Indians.
Were you an Indian?
I was an Indian. Always an Indian.
God, that's unusual.
Right, I was always Tonto. I didn't want to be I never wanted to be the Lone Ranger. I always wanted to be.
Trigger.
That's right. No, that's it. No, Tonto. And his horse was called Scout.
Right. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
So,
and did you get the wigwam, Tommy?
So they're bringing out the wigwam. I hear there's Santa. And I come running through, and they were trying to put up this wigwam. You can imagine, right? Which was basically four big bamboo canes with this thing wrapped around it.
A bit of material.
A bit of material, with some horses embroidered on the side or something like that. Buffalo, right, on the side.
Very tropical.
Right.
Buffalo.
And I almost ran into the living room, and somebody jammed the door, right?
Thank
and
God.
Said,
you would have been scarred for life.
I said, right, and shouting things like, right, Santa, off you go, Santa, right? Before, right? And, right, do you know I was that daft because we had a gas fire.
Tommy, you were a child.
Exactly.
You were being lied to.
Propaganda.
I was young enough to not even bother, even question the fact that it was a gas fire. How did it get here?
Yeah. Wayne's nowadays would absolutely question it, wouldn't they?
See Tommy's story. I just remember back in the early 70s when my son Kevin was born, and he was about 4 or 5, and he wanted a garage, and there was a really famous company that made all these cars. Probably, and they did rolling things and that. They were really, really famous. The company.
The dinky ones?
No, it wasn't dinky. No,
right. The people that made the garages.
It was an American company. It was something like fast cars. It doesn't matter anyway. But anyway, they had this garage and it looked brilliant. So that's what he wanted. And there was about 4 flights of it. So I'm looking at it and it says, everything's here. You don't need to do anything. I've always been hopeless at assembling anything. And I thought, well, okay, it says you don't need anything. And then I'm fucking putting it together, and it was a total bastard to put together. And I noticed somewhere it says you might need a screwdriver and you might need something else. I actually had to get an electric fucking drill out and drill holes in it. And I didn't start. The kids. He was about 5 at the time, so it's Christmas, so they don't want to go to bed, and you want to make sure he's in bed. So I started this about 11 o'clock. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was still working on it. And I learned a lesson: never, ever do this again. Obviously, it's harder to hide a garage than a box, because that's where it came in. Never, ever did it again. And it was actually, amazingly, it stood up. The garage was all right, but it had a wee lift in that one.
That's right, I remember.
I remember them, the kind of beige colour.
I was very sad. I think
there was a wee handle that caught the handle, for the up and down.
It was brilliant, but I thought, never again. I'm just going to throw something else in that. Remember my wife, I waited to the last minute. I waited till like the Saturday before Christmas to buy her presents, and she would be a size 12. And see, trying to get anything a size 12 the Saturday before Christmas, I was struggling.
You're panicking as well.
And I managed to get her plenty of stuff, but just in time though, and I never ever did it again, because now I've got all mine done now, so I can be smug Well, I had it all done a while back before Christmas, and I could be smug and look at other people. Oh, you're struggling? Oh, I've got mine.
And have you got yours actually now?
Oh, yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, they're all done. But this friend called Susie, and for some reason she was talking about the Christmas stuff, and she was in the head of a department in Fraser's. I think it was a handbag department, and she convinced her boss to open the store on Christmas Eve to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and they put a sign up to say late night opening on Christmas Eve, and she said they sold more stuff to men,
of course,
on Christmas Eve than they did.
That was very clever,
months.
wasn't it?
Absolutely. Well, I thought about that as well when you were pointing out the fact that when you were young, your mother went out and did everything. I don't think anything has changed in all these years from your youth right through to today, that men are running out at the last minute because it's been this, since time began.
Yeah.
And also men didn't buy the presents for anybody else.
Right, that's right.
The women, the women did the bulk of everything.
To buy something, they only buy the one present, to buy something for their wives or girlfriends. That one thing, and left it to the last minute, and it's still exactly the same. The only thing about it is it's much more expensive.
Yeah. I think as well that the downside of that is, as you say, there's just no choice. I mean, if you having worked with makeup when I was very young, Christmas Eve, in those days we didn't stay open late, but I worked in Lewis's, but but that's when you knew all the men were coming, so you knew you were going to, what would be left would be the really expensive stuff, all the kind of medium priced and cheaper stuff. The women were wily, they've got that, that's all packed up, ready to go. So what's left are the really expensive versions of what they're looking for. Particularly,
the mugs are arriving.
Yeah, so they'll be like that, oh yes, here they come, and everybody's counting up their commission in their head, oh yeah, I'll grab him, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's absolutely true. But it must be an absolute panic station for men, and they do need to pay twice as much because all the good stuff's away, if you like. All those sizes, like a 12, which is still I think it's still one of the most popular sizes ever, are gone. So, or if your wife is a size 5 in a slipper or a pair of boots or whatever, you get no chance.
They're all gone.
Absolutely none. I think, fair enough, I think a lot of shops do have cottoned on to that now, and maybe nowadays it wouldn't be just as bad, but it is still a thing.
But you really,
definitely.
I mean, I learned a lesson, that was maybe 40 years ago, I learned a lesson, and I've never done it since, and I'm just telling all the men out there, don't wait till the last minute.
But then a lot of men are probably doing things online now as well, though, are they not? But even at then,
don't wait till the last minute. It's just insane.
It must put you just under so much pressure. It just must give you such a thing. But then a lot of people as well are waiting till they get paid, and so that will determine why you're maybe running a wee bit at the last minute as well.
Well, Geraldine and I, we were fortunate. We always had our shopping in early anyway. But for a couple of years, we used to go down to the bars.
Yeah, I remember.
Eve.
Yeah.
And but the thing was, a lot of it was myth. You would hear people say, they sell stuff off at half price. I never saw anything going at half price. Probably they would be cheaper, But it was mostly for people that had just put it off to the last second.
Would this be what, in the 80s or the 90s maybe?
Or maybe the 90s, even in the early 2000s. But we were lucky. We just went down and see if there was any bargains that were brilliant for ourselves. But we never bought anything. There was nothing outstandingly cheap or that we really wanted. But Geraldine's that sharp. She starts Christmas shopping in January.
Well,
so she would see a couple of things.
She
would see some things and buy them. But I don't think we ever did. There was nothing. But it was mobbed. People buying stuff.
I wonder if it is now, though.
I don't know. It probably is.
I think online shopping is particularly when shopping can be so stressful. Christmas shopping in particular, it's the one time of the year when you've got every friend and every member of family mostly that you have to buy for, so you're buying a huge amount of stuff, so I guess you want it done as quickly as you possibly can. So let's talk about food at Christmas. Do you think it's changed much? Now today I've brought with me Stewart and mine. I don't know if this is your favourite as well, because although they're props, they are edible props once it's done, and they will be fucking devoured, I would think, probably. So this is our favourite mince pies with the white icing on the top. Are you a fan of that, Tommy?
Oh, very much.
Big
so.
fan. That's good. I think that's our age thing. I love that. Love. Yeah. I only buy the locale ones because I know that's all you'll eat. Sure, I know that. So those are our favourites, and of course the tangerines, because that's. I don't know if that's people use that as symbolic now. I personally love tangies. I love them, and so I would always have them in the house when they come out at the beginning of December or even now.
I'm just going to jump in and say, Christine, we used to think of them as tangerines as Christmas fruits,
only,
but they're not now.
Yeah, no, that's
we eat tangerines all the time.
That's true.
So it's just, as Tommy said in one of our early podcasts, it's just a world now. You know, it's a global economy.
It was like a seasonal thing, and you would only be able to get those at a certain time.
At that time.
Yeah,
not now, but here all the time.
So what do you remember about the food that we would be eating then at Christmas time?
To me, it's just the same.
Is it just the same?
Because I like just plain food, and I love turkey. Yeah. I could eat turkey every day.
Me too. Do you like stuffing?
No, really, no. It's okay. I mean, but I don't make a big deal of it. I mean, I don't say, give me extra stuffing, you know, but I love turkey.
Right. So let's hear the turkey story, Stewart, while we're talking about turkeys, the most expensive turkey in the world. We're saving that for actually the New Year one, were we? But probably it's relevant to talk about it because I was there on that very day, on that very Christmas. My fucking ears were nearly shot to pieces listening to them moaning and groaning about the expensive turkey in the world. But please, Stewart, take the stage.
About 4 years ago, we went for a Christmas Eve meal with friends near where we live, and it wasn't a turkey, it was a chicken, and it's the tastiest chicken I've ever eaten. It was just gorgeous. And I said to the lady, I said, you know, that's an amazing chicken. Where'd you get that? She says, it's what do you call the
free range?
It's a free range, and it comes from a farm in Butte, which is quite near us. You know,
nice.
It's quite near us.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll need to remember that. So I said to Jerry, I said, do they do turkeys? She said, do everything, and they're brilliant. They're always as good as this. Brilliant. Okay, so Jerry and I agreed we would get one next year, foolishly, without asking how much it cost. So we'd ordered one up. I don't know when you ordered them. I think we waited the local shop. She told us the local shop deals them. You can just order them at the shop. So I think in about November, sign up, order your turkeys now. So we did. We went in, and there was like 3 sizes, and we always have hordes at Christmas. So we got the biggest one, and never asked the price. So we, fine. And so I went to collect it about 4 days before Christmas. It wasn't frozen, it was a real deal. So it was a big monster. It was like fucking ostrich, right? So I thought, right, okay, how much is that? £136. And I thought it'd maybe be about 40 quid. I thought it's going to be dear. Fuck. And I'm looking at it again. I thought maybe the one was there by mistake, and it was just £36 something. And I said, is that right? And he goes, aye, that's what it costs. Gets my card out. So I'm getting back to the house, and I tell her, and she goes, fucking what?
I bet she said, give him it back.
Well, it was too late for that. You know, we'd done it. But again, it was a lesson learned. Always ask the price. You just assume it's going to be a certain price. Anyway, it was so big, we couldn't get it into the oven. So I had to go out and get my
chainsaw.
No, it wasn't that. Just about, I got a wood saw. I got a wood saw, and I got disinfectant that on it, and I cleaned it and dried it, and I left it, and then I had to half it with my saw, and we managed to get it into the oven.
You've got a big oven as well.
I know, it's a big monster oven. It was a monster. Yeah. But it was lovely. I've got to say but it wasn't worth the extra 100 quid.
But I think it did spoil the Christmas because
I was... It's a certain cloud
It was a cloud. But for the people that didn't know the story and were entering into the cloud, thought... Something wrong.
Jerry's saying, I hope you fucking enjoyed it.
No.
You any idea? Have you any? Did you know how? What? We couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And if we heard that once, we heard it 100.
I probably mentioned it a few times.
Aye, and you were
fucking chicken.
Oh, this better be good. We better not leave a single fucking thread of anything here, you know.
You've just left 17 quid in that plate.
But I can't. I mean, to be honest, I get an organic turkey every year, and they are expensive, but then I'm the opposite of you. I need a fairly small one, although I maybe get 8 portions, and the reason for that would be that it was only probably me and Ralph, but we both really liked turkey, so we would have really quite big helpings, and then we would have sandwiches and we would use it the next day and all stuff like that.
Turkey sandwiches with the cranberry.
The cranberry sauce. Love that. But ours would be small, and those, and I'm talking recent, but this is quite recent. This is within 5 years.
Maybe it was a year before COVID, so that was 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
So, I mean, 3 and 4 years ago, I was buying ones at £40, which was double the price of an ordinary turkey. But I always felt that it tasted better, and I just didn't like the idea of turkeys not having a nice life, and that kind of thing. And the way we sort of cut about the grass and have a nice time and say, well, I'm getting cold.
Listen, meet Santa. Right, what Santa were you doing at Christmas? Well, I'll be busy. What are you going to be doing? Well, I'll be busy as well. I've got a whole family to feed.
So we know we're getting cold, but still, let's enjoy our life the now. There's a wee bit of sunshine, there's grass there, and there's my pal over there. How you doing, Andy? All right? And all that kind of thing. So that kind of made me feel a wee bit better about them getting cold. But they were expensive then, But I was telling you the story that one year, the chef in the hotel I was working in, I think I'd had a problem with a turkey before. I said, listen, chef, do you think you could order me a turkey? I'm not asking for a cheap one or that, but see, when you're ordering for the hotel, do you think you could order one for me? I'm wanting an organic one. He says, aye, all right, if you want. I says, how much do you think it'll be? And he said the price, which was roughly what I would have paid in the shops. So I get it, and I said, oh, that's just lovely. Really looks good, and it's quite heavy. And I said, oh, listen, I'm quite happy with that. It's exactly what I thought it would be. And it goes into the oven. No, I tell a lie, I'm basting it. And I said, fuck, what is this now? Big blue marks on the turkey. I says, fuck, but quite small marks, almost like bigger than a pinprick, but small blue marks, maybe 3 on that side. And I says, fucking, what is that? He says, Christine, that's when the birds get shot. You were wanting an actual bird that was cutting about. It had to be shot. They didn't strangle yours. Yours get shot. I says, really? And I felt sick to my stomach. But I said, is that okay to eat that? And of course. I mean, I don't know if it was just, but it just never occurred to me that's... Right. Number one, that's what the blue marks would be, and number two, that's how. So they did get shot. They didn't get their necks wrung. So I just thought, well, I'll just have to put that behind me and scoff it. So I just did that.
They were running about, Christine. They were not brought up in a factory. They were running about in the woods and that.
What about it?
I never had turkey until the best we had was a chicken, and right through my early life. And the first time I actually had turkey was when I was a commie chef.
Really? You'd never tasted it up until
never
that
tasted
point?
it.
Right.
We never couldn't afford a turkey. Never couldn't. And so when I was 16, and I always the thing about preparing turkeys is that they've got all these ligaments in their legs. A lot of them, right? They've got a lot of ligaments there. So what you had to do was when we used to get these turkeys in, lots of turkeys for the restaurant at Christmas that I worked in. And but in the kitchen door, what you did was that you scored round their leg, the leg joint, and then you hung it over the door. And then the commies, was a commie chef, they lifted you up because he's hanging his big doors. This is absolutely true. To hang on to the turkey, right? All these guys hanging on to the turkey, and they jammed the door, right? And the legs in it, and you fell down with hanging on to a turkey, and all the legs with the ligaments were hanging for the top of the door.
Oh my God! I've never realised such a thing went on.
That's because see if you left the ligaments in, they were very difficult to carve.
Oh,
the ligaments. So
you could take that out, but the leg remained intact.
The leg remained intact.
But these were just pulled out by the weight.
These were just the ligaments that come out. As long as you scored it, and then, as I say, the second part,
wouldn't that make a great picture, Tommy? These guys
hanging on
a
turkey. I'd like to think it was dead first.
No.
Yeah, I'd like to think your hands were clean and you had gloves on, I know.
No. When I started, they used to bring. It was the only thing that was the chicken had just been plucked in the restaurants.
Aye. Well, that's what my turkey was like. You could see little bits of feather.
We'd take everything. We'd basically gut it, and it was just a plucked chicken that had just been killed. So
that would almost be like an organic chicken then, really.
It would be
Tommy,
then.
In those days. I think most
probably,
turkeys are organic from the point of view of them being out. They're not like chickens kept in wee boxes. They are out.
It's the food though, Christine.
It's the food they're eating, the food they're given.
They're not supposed to be given any additives and things like to make them.
Bernard Matthews obviously made he made his millions. With that, beautiful.
That's right.
But that's what I remember that we had to do that with these turkeys because then you could get. Obviously, it was more profitable because you could actually carve the legs. And put the brown meat in with
the brown
that,
and the white, especially for a buffet or anything like that.
Just getting the Christmas dinner at restaurants at that time, the turkey was so popular.
Yeah. I'm thinking as well that going back to our very young days that nobody went out for Christmas dinner.
We did once.
Oh, did we?
I'm sure we did once, Christine. And
when you were young, Stuart?
I think so. And it cost a huge amount of money, and it wasn't really worth it. It was only worth it for Mum.
Because she didn't have
to cook it. Yeah. But we never did it again.
And I don't remember that at all.
Aye.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very much the way it is today, isn't it? An opportunity for families to get together and everybody to. I think there's more options now. It was turkey and turkey alone that I seem to think everybody had, but now people have options of ham and beef Wellington and things like that, don't they?
My wife Geraldine used to cook the Christmas dinners every year. And it was for hordes of people, right?
Yeah.
And one year our daughter, young Geraldine, she said, "I'll do it." And her husband is a brilliant cook. Her husband Willie's a brilliant cook, so he helped her. But she hadn't anticipated just how much work there was involved in doing a full 3-courser Christmas dinner, and she was going fucking mental. And she just the stress on her.
Yeah. It's quite stressful.
How many was she cooking for? Because it's the more it is, the more difficult it becomes.
It wouldn't be that many. Well,
you've got 12. A horde.
But she wasn't. When we had a horde, I remember one time
20.
She about 20 odd.
I remember you in your house in Springmore had 2 trestle tables, like larger, longer than this, but another one in front of it as well. And you used to also have sittings, if I can remember. There was like 2 sittings, like an earlier one and then one at 2. So you'd invite some of the people early, I'm thinking, and maybe that was wrong. You'd say, what's your preference? Do you want to go first sitting or second sitting? Because it was the only way you could get everything. But can you imagine the amount of time and effort that's involved in doing 2 sittings of huge amounts of people?
And she's so well
really
organised.
Good. Yeah.
And it just, on that, this is something Tommy knows, but I was completely unaware. We became really friendly with the couple that ran the local hotel, and she would do now and again do weddings. And you charge a lot of money for a wedding, so the bill for a wedding is enormous. A lot of
profit in weddings.
So it has to be bang on. And I remember thinking, how can you cook 53 coursers and get the food, the quantities right,
out on time,
and the timing right?
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
Tommy will know that. I don't even know.
I just wasn't aware at all of the amount of organisation involved in it. And I'm just going back to young Geraldine. I've gone absolutely mental when some of the kids didn't like some of the stuff.
I think it's all about prep, is it not? It's all about what you do beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a part of it, isn't it? Like any organisation.
Yeah,
and I mean, I remember even working in a hotel, even when the breakfast, the chef would come in at 4 in the morning and start to prepare the breakfast for people. And it was just all about prep and all this stuff being put on, depending how busy it was going to be. So I'm imagining it's like that type of thing. Prepping everything in advance so you're not doing everything at the same time. There's a lot of things that have kind of been half done. I'm sure that's how Geraldine does it as well.
But what do we think then about... I'm saying that in my experience it's basically just the same, but there's more elaborate sweets and soups now.
That's what I'm saying. There's more options now. When we were young, it was turkey and that was it. And unless there would be an occasional person that says, I don't like turkey, and so it would be chicken. But it was very much a poultry thing. So now a lot of people don't like turkey now and have only ham or have a choice of ham or beef. So I think people are more adventurous. We just were happy with the turkey, and
Well, if you think about it, it's nothing in the Bible that says you need to have turkeys at Christmas.
I think we were just brought up in a very traditional time. We didn't really question things. I don't think we were the questioners of the world in the baby boomers. I think they were people that just kind of took the orders and
did not develop from Thanksgiving at Christmas.
I think it probably could have been.
It was an American thing that developed into turkeys.
It could well have been, Tommy. That would make sense if you said that.
There were no turkeys in England. No, they came from America.
Well, there's European turkeys.
Well, right, is there?
Aye, but apparently they're no big bruisers like you get in the States.
But not in the. Well, was there any such birds like that in
UK?
In the UK?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that there may have been larger birds. Obviously, there was larger birds in Europe.
A goose. People used to eat geese.
That's right.
I've never eaten one.
I've never had a goose.
I've heard somebody saying that geese are beautiful to eat.
Really?
I've never eaten one.
Yeah.
You eaten one, Tommy?
Yes, I have had goose. I've had goose, which I think is quite nice. No, I don't. So it's the only thing, and I would eat it, but I'm not a great duck fan.
I'm not a duck fan either.
Not a duck fan at all.
Too fatty.
But
too fatty.
And goose is can be quite fatty as well, but it renders away if you cook it properly. I remember there you're talking about now. I remember my cousin who was not doing his national service, and brought a goose from where he was. I don't know where he was stationed for his national service, but he was in the RAF somewhere, and this was in Govan. We stayed at my auntie's in Govan, and he said they came there, and I never ate it. I don't know, but he brought a goose.
A goose to Govan.
A goose to Govan, right? And it was, it just been killed. It hadn't been
fresh.
It was
my
just
goodness!
Like,
an actual goose.
Somebody it's like roadkill almost, because it could have been somebody in Govan ran it over, right?
Because there's quite a few geese in Govan.
Want to buy a goose ball, right? So and I remember this them saying, well, what do you do with it?
Of course, what would Toonies know about that?
There and we were there when it was, probably it was the day before it, I don't even know when. I just remember it was on this, on the kitchen table, and him trying to, feathers flying all over the place.
It would put you right off, I think, actually, unless you were one of these hardy types, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I've plucked chickens and that, and you can actually skin them. It's much easier to skin them.
So, what do we think then? If we look back in our experience of Christmas, would we rather have that, or would we rather be young today?
No, I would not, under any circumstances, want to be young today. Unless, of course, I had some sort of disease that when we were young you didn't survive and you suffer from. I think as well it's worth mentioning, Christine, what it costs for modern kids as Christmas presents.
Absolutely.
The Game Boys and all that. You're like, £600 for a wee thing. And the games cost, £60, maybe a lot more than that. I don't know.
That's a very important point.
Pressure on families is incredible.
Everybody's got them. So, and then the PS4 comes out, or the 5 or the 6, whatever it is. And you know what, kids are right into status. So if there's an 8, in fact, it's a new one. Everybody wants a new one. and they really are expensive.
Do you know what's incredibly expensive? And my granddaughter actually asked me if I fancy going to get me one of these for Christmas. Lego now.
Aye, that's right. Aye,
incredible, because you can buy particular Lego things. The reason why that, she says, Papa, would you like me to buy the Lego Ibrox Stadium for your Christmas?
That's brilliant.
Well, that's a lovely thing.
And I says, don't get me that.
Yeah.
A, I thought that would be very expensive, and B, you've got to build it. I thought, I'll not have the patience for that. Yeah. I really told him that. And I've got some patience, nothing like him. No, I mean, I can go more than 5 seconds before getting a hump with people. Right. So I'm fine. I mean, I could probably do a good.
But the thing is, would you want to?
Well, that's what
I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I
would you really want to spend all that time that's going to be needed to build that stadium?
And once it's built, you put it in a display cabinet, right? Yeah. So I thought, I says, don't get me that. I said, because it's really not. There'll be no benefit for me to get that, because I say I'll probably take me about 3 months to build, right, at least, right, and I'll get pissed off with it, and I'll leave it. You know, so we just left it, and it would be. I thought that'd be extremely expensive.
I'm glad she asked you though, Tommy. She might have went ahead and bought it, and you would have felt even worse knowing that she had spent that.
I'd have to say, oh, fantastic! Just what I'm wanting.
And then you would be under pressure to build it. She'd be saying, "Have you finished it yet?" So that worked out well.
She bought a Star Wars Lego thing.
Yeah.
And apparently it was £1,000.
Oh.
What? I'd want the spaceship for £1,000, you know. But that's just, it's incredible that Tommy's right, the prices of these things.
But the other thing to mention is also about the prices of clothes, and, you know, clothes that leave them very young, clothes with status.
Designer
clothes that people want. And I remember somebody saying to me, I'll need to get the Waynes their trainers and that for Christmas. I said, oh, right, okay. Gucci's expensive. I mean, I thought, what? And they were 9, 10 years old, and that's what they were both getting. That was one of the gifts that they were getting. And I'm looking at this person thinking, where are you getting all this money from? How on earth can I, you know, because I'm the same, we're like the same kind of, you know, single parents not having a lot of money. I thought, how on earth? I think people must maybe just take out bank loans. And just, I think it's the only way. I'm looking at someone thinking, the money you earn, how on earth could you afford to do that for 2 children? I mean, it would be, what, maybe £800 for 2 pairs of Gucci children?
Much as that?
I'm sure it can. I'm sure
I'm trying to think. I mean, daft to hear about my son a pair a couple of years ago, and I think it was 5. They were 4 or 5 £100. And do you know what was quite interesting as well? I remember I bought them in a shop called Cruise, because we'd bought something else from Gucci before, and it was the wrong size because they're Italian sizes, and they wouldn't take it back. I bought it online, and the Gucci would not take it back. It was a belt, and that was about £250 for Christmas, and they wouldn't take it back because we'd chosen the wrong size, because the sizes were Italian or European sizes, not British sizes. So when the belt came, it didn't really fit. So I said, well, if you're wanting these trainers, you won't be getting anything else, but I'm definitely going to go to Cruise and get them. I'm not buying any more online. And Unity, and I'll say to the women, I've got to take these home and he's got to try them. And if I don't like them, I'm going to bring them back. So let's make a deal on that right now before I even buy these. Because sometimes if you go to certain shops, sort of expensive shops like that, they'll only give you like a coupon type thing. They won't give you your money back. They'll give you a credit note. So I went in and I looked at them and I said, I think that's the one. She says, can I give you a wee tip? She says, see when your son gets them, tell him not to take them off by putting your toe against the heel. You know when you kind of do that to take your trousers? Don't do that because you could maybe ruin them. And I thought, at that price, that's a normal thing that maybe people do. They don't actually take the time to undo the laces. They just take them off by putting the toe from the other trainer on the heel and push the trainer off. And I just thought, so I said to her, you know, you need to really, really be careful.
And you wonder, what they cost to make, I can imagine it's some
They're probably made in China. They're not even made in Italy. Many years ago. Many years ago they would have been, but not now. Tommy, what's your thoughts then? Are you glad you were celebrating Christmas at that time, or would you be prepared? Would you be more happy celebrating it now? You'd certainly be getting more presents now. That's for sure. But your mom would likely be stressed to death with the cost of the whole thing.
Nowadays, yeah, but no, I think as Stuart said, there's no doubt that we were happy with what we got.
Contented as well.
We were happy with what we got. You're brought up to the aspirations. You don't have today's aspirations are so high compared to then. Oh, as I said, we were talking earlier about just things like the jobs that we were going to do when we left school, things like that. The aspirations were not great. No, we're happy.
Yes.
No, aspirations of today is I want to be a TikTok influencer.
That's true.
Right.
But you are.
Right. And I didn't realise I was. Right.
Behind your back.
Right, that's it. That was your fault.
Oh no.
Right.
I'll happily accept that.
But that sort of thing where the aspirations are right, and to be in the era that you live in, you have to look like this, and if you
huge
don't look
amount
like
of pressure overall, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we're happy with what we got then.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, what disturbs me is that if you think about it, Christine, £240 for a belt.
Yes,
you can get a belt for a £5, a leather belt for a. Now there isn't £235 worth of difference in that, and it's the same as like jeans, for instance. To me, there isn't any better jeans in the world than Levi's and Wranglers.
Yeah.
And they go for £50 to £100. So why would you pay £300 for them? You know,
because everybody's competing against each other. That's what it is.
But it's wasteful. You know, there isn't that difference in quality or anything between like nondescript jeans, which is what Levi's are nondescript. To me, they're the best. But to me, they've got a lot of status, but they've not got a lot of price. As far as other ones are concerned,
so
designer ones. So why are you doing it? Only because you want to be able to say this is what they are, but they're no worth it. I know that sounds right old-fashioned.
No, it makes complete sense.
But it's the difference is huge in trainers. Yeah. I mean, I paid £80 for a pair of trainers.
Oh my God!
And they were half price. My granddaughter told me I paid £80. They cost 160. I wouldn't pay more than £80 for trainers. And to me, they look all right. But if you compare them to trainers that cost £400, is there a difference? You know, what is the difference in them?
But the way people live now, it's all about how you look.
Yes, it is.
But it's also, there's no focus on how you are as a person. Are you a good person? Are you a kind person? It's all about your face. It's all about how you look, and it's all about how you're dressed, and everything is just about the impression that you give. Nobody really looks into the fact of, are you nice? Are you a good person? Are you a kind person? It's just about image. Yeah. So I'm going to agree with you too and say that I'm glad, not just about Christmas, but probably doing this podcast has made me realise even more so that we were brought up and living in a time that was a far better, kind of mentally healthier time, because as you say, Tommy, aspirations were not anything like. But I just want to finish by telling you my aspiration when I was about 5 or 6, when someone said to me, what would you like to be when you grow up, Christine? I said, a bus conductress. Oh, I said, because you get to keep the money. Because I thought that wee bag was their bag, and I thought, oh, fucking, that's a fucking job for me, by the way. You get taking that money home every night. Oh, yes, that'll do me. That was a hard job, wasn't it? A bus conductor's job, wow.
I'm just going to throw something, Christine, before we chuck it. And I had never ever thought of this. As a guy, a kind of new friend I've made through where I live. He's quite renewed.
Sounds dodgy when you say a new friend.
It's a new friend. But anyway, he says, we're talking about that. He's a wee bit older than me, and he's talking about, the then and now. We were only complaining and then saying the good old days. I have never said the good old days in my life.
Just comparative.
And he says, see, when you were leaving school or you're at school, Stuart, he says, did anybody ever say to you, do you fancy being an actor? Who the fuck wants to be an actor? And he's talking about, a lot of young people now, They want to be, actors or influencers or just be in the telly and be celebs. I never met anyone in my life who wanted to be an actor.
I wanted to be an actress.
Did you? Well, you should have jumped in there.
Yeah, I know. My mother went, what the fuck are you talking about?
You'd have probably
You'll be in an office. You work in an office like everybody else. Like. So that's weird. Wanting to be an actress. That was nipped in the bud. That was never brought up again, no. And off I went to work in the office, as you do. So I hope you've enjoyed the Christmas special. We've really enjoyed being here with our hats on and our lovely fire. Thanks very much, as always, for joining us today. It's been great to have your company. You can find us on TikTok, on Facebook and on Instagram. And, of course, the podcasts are available on Spotify and YouTube. So next week, we're going to be talking about the new year. So we look forward to seeing you then. So bye-bye from me, from Stewart.
Cheerio.
And from Tommy.
Merry Christmas to all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.